the moral high ground, where I talk about what's morally right. Morally right. So people, today I'm going to be talking about the Mormon religion. Now, I'm not trying to offend anybody, and I'm trying to be very direct on how I feel. Just stating my opinion. Now, this video I'm going to play has been circulating around the internet for quite some time. And the thing about it is, people are just talking their own personal opinion. I seem to know, that's kind of funny, but I seem to know a lot about the spiritual world and biblical stuff in the Bible and all this. I went through a big spiritual journey and got certificates and all kinds of things because belief in God and the old ways is very important to me. And, angels, all that, just I'm very wise on it. And in some cases am some kind of spiritual man, holy man or monk, whatever you want to call it. And so my point of view is this, that we have to talk about these things. A lot of people on the internet are talking about Jesus coming back and sounds in the sky and things. And so I would believe if God's back, then it's time to call out the ones that are not preaching right doctrine. So this is just one of two faith-based religions that I'm going to be talking about. So today it's just the Mormons that I'm talking about. And like I said, I'm not trying to offend anybody, but I'm going to state my own opinions and so forth and make sense out of it. If it makes sense to me. If not, I'm just going to be like, this doesn't make sense, and ramble like I usually do. So, so anyway, here we go.
Regardless of its Christian veneer, the basic tenets of Mormonism are in direct conflict with biblical Christianity.
So right there at the very beginning, they say belief in Mormonism, belief in belief in Mormonism is in conflict with the Holy Bible. Yeah.
The following piece of animation, based directly on actual Mormon publications, highlights these major doctrinal differences.
Mormonism teaches that trillions of planets scattered throughout the cosmos are ruled by countless gods who once were human like us.
And so I'm going to break it down, just breaking it down right now. So there's trillions of planets with gods that were once human. And so that sounds like demigods, like Hercules, Perseus, and so on and so forth. Titus, all these guys that were sons of Zeus and became gods. And with that's actually a bloodline. Titus gave birth to Perseus, Hercules, or somehow Hercules is Perseus by human though, not by God standards. Titus, human bloodline, gave birth to Perseus, and then Perseus' bloodline gave birth to Hercules. And each one of those three were all sons of Zeus, which means that grandfather, father, and grandson all are brothers. There's some bad inbreeding going on in Greek mythology. But anyway, I'm trying to remember it right. It's all messed up. But anyway, so yeah, that doesn't make sense. So here we go.
They say that long ago on one of these planets, to an unidentified god and one of his goddess wives, a spirit child named Elohim was conceived. This spirit child was later born to human parents who gave him a physical body.
Okay, so stopping it there, once again I'm analyzing it. He was born from human parents, but he was a god, and both his parents were gods, but he was born human, and then he's a spirit child. Oh man, it's heavy complication.
Through obedience to Mormon teaching and death and resurrection, he proved himself worthy and was elevated to godhood as his father before him.
So through death and resurrection, he died and came back, and he became a god. Yeah, it makes no sense.
Mormons believe that Elohim is their heavenly father and that he lives with his many goddess wives on a planet near a mysterious star called Kola. Here, the God of Mormonism and his wives, through endless celestial sex.
Okay, right there, okay. This is the part that gets me, is when they say endless celestial sex. And I'm probably saying it all wrong. Endless celestial sex. Okay? That's horrible, okay? I'm sorry, guys. This is supposed to be their heaven, and they want to have endless sex. Like, I'm thinking if I die and go to heaven, I can do all the cool stuff I don't do on earth or that I'm afraid to do, or got some kind of phobia of, you know, like jumping out of an airplane in a parachute type of thing, or like you win $1 billion in the lottery or something, I don't know. But endless, constant, I mean, don't you want to go watch TV, go fishing, do something that's all day long, you're doing it every day for eternity? That's like crazy, man. This is like just over the top, oversexed. It's bad when you're oversexed, and if you don't know what it feels like, tell me, because I'm going to tell you, it's crazy. It's all you're thinking about. And then the next thing you know, when you finally calm the hell down, it's like, damn, the hell was wrong with me, type of thing. But you still want something, you know. Anyway, I'm all over the place. Anyway, so here we go.
Produced billions of spirit children. To decide their destiny, the head of the Mormon gods called a great heavenly council meeting. Both of Elohim's eldest.
I don't like the way this drawing looks. But this is like old 70s type drawings, or somewhere in 60s, 70s. And most things look like this with artwork. I could probably draw this, but it just seems like too much. I know it has nothing to do with Mormons, but I trip on animation artwork.
His sons were there. Lucifer and his brother Jesus. A plan was presented to build.
So before I go further, I talk through little parts, so you probably missed the contents there. They're trying to say that Lucifer and Jesus are sons, are brothers, I mean, and sons of this guy. So, and then, which is already flawed, but let's just continue.
Planet Earth, where the spirit children would be sent to take on mortal bodies and learn good from evil. Lucifer stood and made his bid for becoming savior of this new world. Wanting the glory for himself, he planned to force everyone to become gods. Opposing the idea, the Mormon Jesus suggested giving man his freedom of choice, as on other planets. The vote that followed approved the proposal of the Mormon Jesus, who would become savior of the planet Earth. Enraged.
So, here's the issue right here. This is like all this right now that's going on is the conflict between the Holy Bible and the Mormon faith. Excuse me, I apologize. But anyway, so it's the conflict between the Mormons and the Holy Bible, and the reason why is because first, Jesus and Lucifer are brothers. Second of all, they're trying to say that Lucifer got mad because he's trying to force humans to become gods, which is going contradiction kind of what they said in the beginning, that, you know, they're humans and then they become gods, but you can't force someone to be a god if they don't know how to be. And then Jesus, on the other hand, is trying to say, give them a choice. But if this is the case, then wouldn't we already know this, that we have a choice to become a god? So it's kind of irrelevant. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't match up with what we know biblically. So it doesn't make too much sense, you know. And then just the whole thing right here, this next is just very conflict. There's a lot of conflict from this one part, you know what I'm saying, that's about to pop up. And I'll explain more.
Lucifer cunningly convinced 1/3 of the spirits destined for Earth to fight with him in revolt. Thus, Lucifer became the devil and his followers the demons. Sent to this world, they would forever be denied bodies of flesh and bone. Those who remained neutral in the battle were cursed to be born with black skin. This is the Mormon explanation for the Negro race. The spirit.
Okay, so. Oh, God. It's okay. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous, and it's racist as all hell. But what makes it really ridiculous is just that, okay, first off, they're taking something from Catholicism and they're saying that, they stayed neutral during the battle in heaven, and they turned black. But in Catholicism, there's an angel, just a certain angel that stayed neutral and got cast down with Lucifer's people as well. And so it's taking a little bit of Catholicism there and changing it to its own will, and saying they became pretty much marked with black skin. And it's just ridiculous, Then there's other things they're saying about race, and this thing that's just crazy as all hell. And it's offensive, racist, and stuff, and all that. And then the whole point, too, is if you look, paying very close attention to this animation here, most of the characters are all blonde-haired and stuff, and Caucasian people. And the thing about it is like that's almost like reaching, Nazism type of thing, because the perfection, the superior race type of nonsense, and which there isn't any. That's what I always try to explain to people. So yeah, this is just ridiculous and offensive, and it's sad because you can honestly think that they brainwashed a lot of Mormon children with this cartoon, and they actually believe this cartoon. It's like there's this video, if you can find it out there, and it's like it shows about, I don't know how many seasons this video was. I think it was like 3, and it's about these people in Iraq. They pretty much got all the kids in Iraq and Afghanistan and stuff to watch this show. It wasn't a cartoon, it was a show, like a puppet show type of thing, and they pretty much hated America, and everything was hating America, and all this stuff about infidels and all this, and they killed off the main character every time, and the characters would look like our cartoon characters, and they was able to get these kids, by watching this show, to join the armies to come kill Americans. And this is similar to it, but in a more brainwashing way that's perverted. Because if you pay attention to the way they talk in this thing too, it's all about the one thing. It has nothing really to do with humbleness or goodness or trying to make a change and be forgiven for sins and having repentance. So it's all about getting down. Yeah.
Spirits that fought most valiantly against Lucifer would be born into Mormon families on planet Earth. These would be the lighter-skinned people, or white and delightsome, as the Book of Mormon describes them.
Delightsome. That's a hell of a word to throw in there, and kind of bad, because it pretty much is that black people messed up because they didn't pick a side. And the funny thing is that being black, black people are more active than most sometimes. They'll jump into something right when it's happening. They're either saving somebody or they're getting in a physical confrontation. And if you look it up, I remember there was some kind of study or something somebody did, and they were saying that during events, a lot of black people just jump in and help real quick before other people do. So I don't know what this is trying to say, except for white people are better than black people. That's what they're saying, and it's just racist. All of it's racist.
Early Mormon prophets taught that Elohim and one of his goddess wives came to earth as Adam and Eve to start the human race. Thousands of years later, Elohim, in human form once again, journeyed to earth from the starbase Kolob.
This part here reminds me of Zeus. So, because he's saying he's coming to earth, and he's gonna be human so he could make love or whatever. It's stupid. Even the part with Adam and Eve, they're saying that he's Adam. Now the guy that's God himself became Adam and took one of his goddess celestial wives and created the human race. Now they're both gods. And so then, so this is where it's all confusing, and they're picking up stuff and mixing it up. And so, yeah, he came, he made all these kids and stuff because he was a god or whatever, and now he's coming again. And the way they even just showed it, I'll go back a little bit, where he, walks around and he gets a human form. It's like Zeus. Zeus did this all in Greek mythology. He's running around, coming to Earth making babies. And so, yeah.
Human form once again journeyed to Earth from the starbase Kolob, this time to have sex with the Virgin Mary, in order to provide Jesus with a physical body. After Jesus Christ.
So, oh God, what in the world is this? Okay, so first off, she wouldn't be the Virgin Mary if God turned into a Zeus type god and came and had sex with her. There's no virgin in there, so you can't call her Virgin Mary. You can say she's a girl that slept with a god, but this is why, like I'm saying, they take bits and pieces and they make it their own thing. So it is a real wild laughing because look on his face if that's what he's going. It just doesn't look right. It's funny as hell. This is what is wrong. It's wrong. There's no celestial birth there. There's no immaculate birth, and they trying to say that she's a Virgin Mary and she slept with God, but doesn't make sense. But even though if you do read the Bible, Elizabeth, her cousin, who was actually the mother of John the Baptist, met with an angel, I think it's Gabriel, and she ended up giving birth, and then her husband goes mute because of the angel, and he didn't believe or some crap. And then later on, Mary has the same encounter, give birth to Jesus. And really, it's some kind of spiritual con game, I guess. Well, I wouldn't say a con game. I'll say it's like it was planned and prepared, because later on, years later, when Jesus is in the 30s and so is John the Baptist, John the Baptist is baptizing everybody, and Jesus comes upon him and he's like, oh, he's the one greater than me that knows everything, and so forth. And he baptizes Jesus, and the dove comes from the sky, and all this gives him his ability to make miracles. That's what the baptism is all about with Jesus and John the Baptist, is to give Jesus the ability to make miracles, to make the unlogical happen, okay, and make it a reality. And so it's actually beautiful, that part. But the whole thing about it is, this doesn't make sense. There's no miracle. Dude just went and got down with the Virgin Mary and made Mormon Jesus. They say that a lot. They say Mormon Jesus. They don't say Jesus Christ. They say Mormon Jesus, which separates the whole thing, because now you're saying that Christ is supposed to be a title to prove that he's the Messiah. And so by not saying that, and you say Mormon Jesus, you're saying, oh, this is our Jesus. This is our Jesus, and he's not the king or whatever like everybody else believes. So that's what's going down, and it's really stupid. It's just, I don't know. Anyway.
Christ grew to manhood, he took at least 3 wives, Mary, Martha, and Mary Magdalene. Through these wives, the Mormon Jesus, for whom Joseph Smith claimed direct descent, supposedly fathered a number of children before he was crucified.
So I'm going to stop again. Like I said, I'm taking this whole video apart. Taking it apart because I know biblical stuff and a lot of this doesn't make any sense. So let's start with the wives. Okay, so when they say Mary, and then they say Martha, Batman, Superman. So, and then they say Mary Magdalene. So here we go. I'm going to say Lucifer. Lazarus had 2 sisters. One named Martha, and another one named Mary. Now, Lazarus was close to Jesus, and Jesus was close to him and his sisters. And so, some people say that one of the sisters was actually a prostitute, which isn't the thing. There's a different custom that they had back then, like guys would always be on their feet and stuff back then, and women and kids, or not kids, but daughters, would wash the head of the house's feet. It's like some kind of custom. Yeah, this is why washing feet is still going on in churches, but it's not explained in that sense. So the male figure, because he was hardworking and he provided and all this, the custom to show respect to that male figure in the family was to wash his feet. And because Jesus was supposed to be the ultimate man figure, she washed his feet to show respect and blessings and welcome him into the family, even though he wasn't truly family. I don't know how to explain it in any other way. But there's this book, When You Become a Minister, or if you're thinking about becoming a minister, there's lots of them. You take these little tests. You read the books, you take the text, and you cross-reference with the Bible, the Amplified Bible, and many other doctrines that you can find, it even leads you, if you're this curious, like I was, You would read the lost scriptures. You read the lost scriptures, and then you would lead to Dead Sea Scrolls is later, though. This is a lot later, and so then you would find more biblical scriptures that has been taken out of the Bible, and with that you can go wherever you want. You can take it to any other culture, and with religion, and figure out the connection. There's a grand connection in the spiritual world that ties us all together, and I think everybody misses the mark, which means sin. Sin means missing the mark, just so you know. So, but the thing about it is, there's a connection with the beginning and the end, and all together with humanity in the spirit world. It's just people are stuck on stupid. And the thing about it is, so this book, before I go way off topic, this book called The Three Marys. And if you read The Three Marys, you'll find out that all of them have this big spiritual connection to Jesus, not in a married type of thing where they have kids like they say here in this cartoon here, but more as being pure women. And the concept goes all the way to the point of his resurrection, and they talk about why people don't believe Jesus resurrected, and it's because people don't respect women in the Middle East and all this, and so they believe that because they don't respect women, that these women made it up and that they're lying, and so they don't want to believe the women at all, you know. And so that's even why. That's even when it's even can't even say stuff right. It's even mentioned in Thomas, you know, that Thomas is like, when Jesus is risen again, he was like, you know, I can't believe he's real, let me touch his side and make sure he's alive, or touch the wound. And he did, you know, but he did that, and the whole thing is to prove that the women weren't lying and that he really is alive. But because Jesus manifested himself in front of Thomas and let him touch the wound, that makes all the evidence more real. And so the Three Marys are those ones, but some people might, and the reason why I'm talking about it is because it might be misconstrued, because there's just people think Mary because his mom's name is Mary, and they know he married his mom. So I'm just letting you know it's not his mom, it's Lazarus' sisters. And the reason why they call it the Three Marys, because even Martha, I'm about to say Martha, but Martha, oh God dog it, the other sister of Lazarus, okay, the name actually means Mary too. So, you know, Mary and Martha, or Martha, whatever, Martha is another name for Mary. I'm saying it all wrong. Don't laugh at me. Just say, quit watching Godzilla movie, show me. Okay, in the comments. So that's Three Marys. And then the thing that if you get into the Bible more and you pay more close attention, there's actually two different Lazarus. So there's a Lazarus that got risen, which is the brother of these two girls. And there's a Lazarus that sat in front of the king's, the rich guy's palace or whatever, and he died. And when he died, he went to Abraham's bosom. And then the rich guy died the next day. And I think he choked on some food, I can't remember. Anyway, so he dies, and when he's dead, he's in hell. It's dark everywhere, burning up inferno. And he sees Lazarus, and he gets mad, and he's like talking to Abraham, like, you know, telling Lazarus, hey, like, give me just a drop of water, you know, because he's so hot. And he said, I need to be there. And then, you know, Abraham tells him that all the things that make him not eligible to be in heaven next to him. And it's pretty, I think that's another, I think there's another story that's overlooked in the Bible, and people don't see the difference. There's also, so some characters or people in the Bible are mentioned a lot, but those is because there's more than one. It's just like you go talk to a guy named Bill, or there's another guy named Bill, and then there's another guy named Will, there's another guy named William, and you go on and on and on, and people will think it's all the same guy, but it's not the same guy, it's multiple different guys. So that's what's going on in the Bible. You got two different Lazarus. If I remember, through one of my studies, I think there was two different two different Judas too. So, or two different. Two different Judas and two different Sauls. Because if you think, people think Saul and Kings is Saul in the Bible, but Paul becomes Saul. And I tried to explain this to somebody one time. I was trying to talk about King Saul, okay? And when I said this, they're thinking of, oh, Paul, Saul was Paul and all this. So it's just all confusing people who don't read the Bible, and they just automatically think that the same names are mentioned over and over again. It's just like in the olden times, not even olden times, we'll say 1600s, people believe that Cain and Canaan were the same person, but they're not. You know, Canaan is a grandson of Noah. So it's just a lot of stuff. Getting to a lot of biblical knowledge here, so it's like you gotta really know your stuff. So one thing I tell you, because now that I'm talking so much, and you guys probably forgot what's going on in this video, but the thing about it is, by watching this, I can tell that Joseph Smith and whoever else that created this faith went to church. And you gotta understand, it was all created in the 1800s or whatever. And so from that time period, there was a lot of Protestants, a lot of people believed in God. But he was obviously one of the people that were there, got enough information as they want, said they believed, but then they didn't, because they didn't know as much as they should. And so they created their own faith based off of little concepts. Like I said, they're taking bits and pieces and making it their own thing, because that bits and pieces is the only thing they pay attention to while they were in their faith. So, with all that being said, well, let's get into it again.
According to the Book of Mormon, after his resurrection, Jesus came to the Americas to preach to the Indians, who the Mormons believe are really Israelites. Thus, the Jesus of Mormonism established his church in the Americas as he had in Palestine.
So this is the part in the video that doesn't make any sense. I have no problem at all believing that Jesus came to America, but at the same time, this thing is so all over the place. Because what I'm looking at right now looks like Romans or, some kind of Greek army, and it makes no sense. So we're saying that they went and fought the Native Americans, and it doesn't make any sense. It really doesn't.
By the year 421 AD, the dark-skinned Indian Israelites, known as Lamanites, had destroyed all of the white Nephites in a number of great battles.
So there's always someone dark skinned against the white folk. But here's the thing, when Jesus died and was crucified, the whole world knew back then, because we have eclipses, and eclipses last maybe a day or an hour or a minute, a couple minutes or whatever. Eclipses don't last long in any time period since humans have been around, except for when Jesus was crucified. And when he was crucified, the eclipse lasted for days. It lasted for almost a week. The earthquake happened, which actually tore down the temple. Jesus saying that the temple will be destroyed in 3 days was references to Passover, because they were going to do a sacrificial lamb on Passover. The day he was crucified was Passover, which made him the sacrificial lamb, which was the ultimate, because when you want a God to become, a God to become human, or to take on human form, you need the blood. And so that's what the whole sacrificing a lamb and anything for, you need blood to make your God whole. And so when Jesus was crucified, he became a sacrificial lamb. But when that happened, an earthquake happened, which destroyed the temple. A freaking eclipse happened, total darkness for a week. And because he bled all through Jerusalem, all from Herod's kingdom all the way to go see Pontius Pilate, who was the ruler of Jerusalem at that time. He's a Roman, so you guys can leave the Jews alone. And he blamed the Romans. And so, but anyway, I'm not trying to offend nobody when I'm saying this stuff. It's just a lot of biblical knowledge I got, and this is the way I look at it. Romans killed Jesus. And then they took Jesus' faith, because Jesus, so it was Jerusalem is underneath Roman rule, and at that time, and what happened was when Jesus died over there underneath their rule, and they see that he's God because all the miracles that happened during and after the crucifixion, and because of that, they're like, oh, this is our God because we own this land, type of thing. And so they became, what we all know as the Gentiles, and this is where we get the Catholic or Christian belief, why the Hebrew and Israelites stuck to it and became Jewish, and this is where we got the two separates of the faith, if you guys don't know. So our belief. And so honestly, when Jesus bled all through Jerusalem, I'm trying to tell you, he made that land holy land, and his blood all over the place is holy land. It's like sacrificial blood and holy blood on top of that. And so that's why you always hear people talk about Jerusalem. You always hear them talking about the Jewish people in there, because it's always it's a promised land, but it's the holy land. It's the mother of holy lands, because God literally shed blood all through that land and made that land holy, if you don't know. So there's always going to be a war there, because God Almighty himself shed blood all over that land for the people. And it's a little bit different concept of saying, and I'm not taking anything away when people say Jesus shed his blood for us. He shed his blood for all people, because when you say us, you could say us and it'd be one race or one culture, but it's the whole shebang, the whole toilet earth. So it's a beautiful thing in a way, and to me it is. And because this is why Jerusalem has to be protected at all costs, and the people have to be respected at all costs, whether whatever skin color they are, which is a primitive way of thinking to me, and whatever creed they follow. And so, but back again to this Mormon thing, I keep talking, I don't know, maybe it's just a passion, or God's talking through me or whatever, but, or maybe there's something that y'all need to know that I know that might make sense to you and make you more stronger to believe. So who knows, I could be getting channeled right now by an angel or God himself to be able to explain things that you maybe not known or heard of before. But anyway, so this is crap, okay? Romans fighting Native Americans makes no sense, and it really doesn't make any sense. It's just that, and then they're giving them these names, the Nephites and all this, and it doesn't make sense.
The Nephites' records were supposedly written on golden plates and buried by Moroni, the last living Nephite in the hill Cumorah. 1,400 years later.
Okay, so the golden plates I gotta talk about. Okay, now that's like a Moses thing. This is where how I see this Mormon thing going with Joseph Smith, especially. I mean, I got like a booger hanging, but or a booger in there somewhere. But so it doesn't make any sense that there's these golden plates. Now we know Moses came down from the mountain after seeing God, being in the presence of God, and he brought the tablets with the Ten Commandments. And there probably was more than. Here's the thing: in the Jewish faith, there's 100 or 600 and something commandments, but in the Christian faith, there's only 10. And the thing about it is that 10 follows on to other faiths. In Buddhism, you got the 10 great precepts, which is actually the 10 commandments. And in Christianity, you have Father, Son, and Holy Ghost. In Buddhism, you have mind, body, and soul. So it's kind of the same. It's like a little bit of Buddhism got washed off from Christianity, but then Chinese themselves actually has doctrine of Jesus without even being in the presence of Jesus and stuff. And there's a video about that on YouTube. You gotta find it. It's actually pretty interesting. So, and that's not just them. You gotta think too that they had nuns in Avalon, way before Jesus, before Joseph of Athena went there, which is Jesus' uncle. There's so much stuff y'all probably don't even know. When I say that, you probably don't even know that Jesus had an uncle. And going back to the whole Mary Magdalene and all of them, there's a book called The Holy Grail, The Holy Blood. I recommend you guys read it, because it talks about Jesus having kids. And it's only if you believe it. and stuff. But that book, the only reason I brought it up just now because of what we saw a while ago in this video is that they're saying that he had children. That's the only book I've read where they talk about Jesus having offspring. It's worth reading if you want. So, but anyway, I'm going to go off topic, and I probably forgot what I was trying to say. So,
A young treasure seeker named Joseph Smith, who was known for his tall tales, claimed to
he's known for his tall tales.
have uncovered these same gold plates near his home in upstate New York. He is now honored by Mormons as a prophet because he claimed to have had visions from the spirit world in which he was commanded to organize the Mormon Church.
So let's stop right there. I heard it a little different in two different ways. And of course South Park made their whole joke about this whole Mormon faith thing, which is because at that time I had no idea what it was. And then I guess they got the there's some kind of live show they do, the Book of Mormon or whatever. I haven't seen it, you know. But this thing, the South Park thing, was funny. At the same time, it was one of the only South Parks where it wasn't really funny to me because I'm learning about a religion I didn't know about. This video right here tells you more. But recently, I don't know how many months ago, I talked to Mormons, and they say they don't believe this anymore. They believe something totally different. And it's odd. Sometimes I don't know, maybe I'm like the only person that walks around every now and then. I'm hanging outside and I end up having big religious conversations. Like I'll have big ones about or whatever faith. It could be Mormons, it could be Catholics, it could be just God himself in the Bible. That's usually most of the thing I talk about is stuff I've read in the Bible, and I explain how it fits with humanity. The only thing I don't like is when other people try to use this dictation thing and argue about it, and they really don't understand it, especially talking to people who don't understand it and just blabber out things they think is right. It kind of hurts in the spirit way because it's like, come on, it's not that hard, it's not that difficult, you're making it something negative. Our humanity isn't supposed to be so negative. That's what's wrong with society right now, is people trying to complicate it, pervert it, mutate it, and destroy it. Humanity must be preserved at all costs, and we must find a way to connect and come together so we can have a grand future where our humanity stands up against all other creations, creatures, and beings from other worlds. We must be able to understand that none of us can live without the others. Like I don't know what you call that, but where I like to stay by myself or be alone or whatever. But every now and then I come out and say, what's going on? What's happening? I don't know what's happening. You tell me what's going on. You know what I'm saying? We have to have some kind of human contact because any other species won't understand. And so that's just my point. I'm trying to make something make sense to whoever cares while watching this. But yeah, honestly, even this part with the golden plate thing, I had a conversation with somebody about that, and they were saying, oh yeah, he had the golden plates and he ran through a forest with it, which they don't talk about in this video. And he said he met an angel that gave him the idea to do this and that and so forth. And so, but the thing is, one guy explained to me about, oh, gold is heavy. And I'm thinking, yeah, gold's heavy. How the hell could you run with gold? But like I said, they don't talk about that part in this video. And so that's crazy. But then the whole thing is he's supposed to be considered a prophet. And that's why I said it, that Joseph Smith is the Mormons' Moses. And then he, later on in this, because we're almost done with this video, but later on he's going to have somebody pretty much explain that Joseph Smith is their Moses, and a little bit more demonic behavior comes out. So yeah.
because all Christian creeds were an abomination.
See, that's even the first part of saying you're evil. You're saying everybody else that believes in God is evil, but us Mormons are good.
It was Joseph Smith who originated most of these peculiar doctrines which millions today believe to be true.
It's like a contradiction. You're saying they're peculiar, and yet people believe them to be true. It doesn't make any sense to me, man. Oh boy.
By maintaining a rigid code of financial and moral requirements and through performing sacred temple rituals.
Sacred temple rituals. Now, I don't know how many years ago, it was in the 2000s though, there was a Mormon church that got closed down, and the FBI and them ran in there and looked at everything, and there was like beds in the church, and they were saying in those beds they were having sex with underage people. And I don't know if I'm saying that correct on YouTube here or whatever, but you know, they were saying that that was happening. And so whatever their secret rituals is in the church, it can't be good, because I mean, listen to everything they keep talking about. It just sounds wicked. But to have a bed in church, I'm not saying that's bad in a way where you can't have a bed at all in church. I mean, honestly, I believe some priests and preachers and pastors and, you know, reverends and all that might have a bed in there because they don't really have a place to stay, and that church is their home, and they take their faith serious enough to say that home is with God. And so, but with this situation here, you know, these people wealthy. They be having mansions, and I mean, we could have, 14, 15 kids in the house, and you got room for all of them, then why do you got a bed in the church? Because it's messed up. But this actually happened. I can't remember the guy, the Mormon leader that they took down in the church, and it was in Utah, and there was a bed. They even showed the bed on the news broadcast, and it was kind of terrifying the way that they showed the place and stuff. Even though it did look good with the bed, the area where the bed was, that looked terrifying. So, I don't know. Just, like, I don't know. Information. Get stuck on words. I can talk logically about everything else when it comes to this, but when it comes to the stuff that's dealing with the Mormons, that's why I get stuttered all over my mouth. And see, I don't even know what I just sit there, stuttered all over my mouth. What am I talking about? So, I'm just saying, it gets me discombobulated talking about the Mormons. I can talk about everything else. So, yeah.
For themselves and the dead, the Latter-day Saints hope to prove their worthiness and thus become gods. The Mormons teach that everyone must stand at the final judgment before Joseph Smith, the Mormon Jesus, and Elohim. Those Mormons who were sealed in the eternal marriage ceremony expect to become polygamous gods in the celestial kingdom.
I'll pause it again. The fact that they started off with Joseph Smith, Mormon Jesus, and Elohim, it shows that Moses is supposed to, or Joseph Smith is supposed to be Moses. And so, with that, I have to say that's crazy. It's crazy because he didn't do anything. He just wrote some books and supposedly found some gold plates. You know, if I was to say, if you take it so, yeah, obviously in the comic books and stuff, and superheroes and so forth. So you put in the superhero world, Moses would be the better one because he could split the Red Seas, he could make these plagues happen, he could hit a rock and water comes out of it, he could make, Moses could sit there by a burning bush and, you know, a staff could turn into a snake, and he could sit in front of God and just glow like he's a kung fu fighter. You know, like, obviously Moses is the coolest superhero here, okay? And so if you go to Joseph Smith, he's just this guy that writes and has some kind of vision or some nonsense. And see how lame it is even talking about itself. But Moses is cool. Like, the water turns blood red, there's frogs, locusts, and all this crap happening. And like superpower, they write a whole song or make a whole series about Moses. And they've done it. You know, Moses to me is one of the best people ever in the Bible. And I'm pretty positive a lot of people believe this, and especially Jewish people. And so this is garbage. And Joseph Smith stuff, I'm not trying to say it's bad like this, but just seriously, just bits and pieces, they poke it and take it and make it their own thing. Here with this marriage thing and becoming gods, how many people in the Mormon faith believe this? And not just because they believe it, but how many after got married felt like they were God? And how did they feel that they were more empowered than a normal being on Earth? I just said.
Rule over other planets and spawn new families throughout eternity.
Wow.
The Mormons thank God for Joseph Smith, who claimed that he had done more for us than any other man, including Jesus Christ.
And that right there, that comment right there, is blasphemy. It is heresy at its best, and an abomination against God. It's just bad. You can't say you're more powerful and better than Jesus, or you're more better than God himself. You can't say you're powerful and you did more for humans than God. Are you out your mind? Once again, this breaks it down to the superhero mentality. Jesus could heal, he could walk on water, he could make the blind see, he could cast out demons, which is cool. He could, Jesus can do everything. He can multiply fish and bread. He can walk on water, that I said already. He can make wine in the water, or the other way around. And wine in the wine, yeah, he can make wine in the water. He can make water in the wine. And then like, Jesus can, the transfiguration, which is my favorite part of the Bible. And he goes up to the top of the mountain, takes the disciples with him, and he sits there. And one side of him is Elijah, and the other side is Moses. And then the disciples are sitting there tripping, and then Peter says, Lord, let us open tabernacles 3, one for you, Moses, and Elijah. At that moment, the sky opens up a cloud, and light shines down, and a dove comes, and he says, and you hear God's voice saying, this is my son who I love. And as they look again, Jesus starts to transform, and his gray hair and so forth. And then, after a while, it all disappears and separates. There's a character or a disciple that's mentioned in that story. Now, it's a difference between, always is a difference between Matthew and Luke. There's also ones with Mark, but this is a Luke story and a Matthew story. So, in one of them, one of the disciples is named Andrew, and he's only mentioned in that one part, of the Bible. But what's happening in that story is the transfiguration of Jesus. Is what's happening is this: Jesus is transforming time and space. He's like Hero Nakamura from Heroes. Okay, he can literally. It's like Moses and Elijah both went to the mountains to talk to God. All of a sudden, Jesus goes to the mountains with the disciples, and then Moses appears and Elijah appears. Why is this? Because he's actually doing multiple time travel thing. He's in those time periods and there in the presence all at the same time. Well, that's how I see this. I don't know, people don't see it that way, but man, he's powerful, man. Jesus is powerful, y'all. Don't doubt it. Okay, but doubt Joseph Smith.
The Mormons believe that he died as a martyr, shed his blood for us, so that we too may become gods.
Although there are
And so the whole thing with becoming a god is also blasphemy and heresy in that sense. The way they're talking about it, everything's about doing it, making these spirit babies. Why you need these spirit babies? What the spirit babies gonna do? Why are you making them anyway? And why you gotta have endless celestial sex? What's this crap? This Joseph Smith and the Romans and white natives is just all over the place. They're talking about black people turned into black people. That sounds so stupid. I didn't get the angel people turned into black people. That's what I meant to say. It's like, yeah, we're not even angels. There's no angels in this. They're just gods. So it's all confusing and crazy. Crazy people talk. Crazy people religion. Crazy people talk.
thousands of Mormon churches throughout the world. There are only a few dozen Mormon temples. These massive structures play a vital role in the Mormons' quest for godhood. Mormons must engage in a series of occultic rituals inside the temple.
Boom, they just said it right there. Boom, everything just said in the whole cartoon goes out the window when he says occultic rituals. So you're saying you're a cult. You're not of faith to where you just believe in God. You're saying you're a cult now when you say cultic rituals. People gotta pay attention to the words they're saying, but it's saying you're a cult now. So, which one is it?
In order to become a candidate for godhood, only an elite selection of devout Mormons are allowed to enter. To do so, the potential Mormon god must adhere to a strict code of ethics, including abstinence from tobacco or caffeine-based products, paying a full tithe to the Mormon Church, and wearing of the magic Mormon underwear 24 hours a day.
Oh, man. So, let's go back. Presidents. Okay? And this one didn't even become president. That Mitt Romney dude, okay, he was wearing magical underwear. And the thing, it sounds funny you saying it, the magical underwear. And the thing about that is, once again, they just said they're cultic, rituals. And so this is a cultic ritual, obviously, because no one has any magical underwear. Okay, this is like some stuff they read out of a fairy tale, and now they got magical underwear. God is all miracles. It's all something natural, spiritual, something old and pure. And this thing here is a joke. Magical underwear, what is it doing? This has to do with their obsession with ungodly sexual acts. And so, because why your underwear gotta be magical? Why not your shoes or your hat? Your baseball cap or your glasses. I don't care. But your underwear. I don't care what's gonna stop you from taking a dump on yourself when you gotta go really bad. I'm not trying to be funny. Yeah, I was trying to be funny. But that's stupid. It's stupid. And so I remember when Mitt Romney wanted to be president, they were talking about him having magical underwear and what they do. And I think he explained it and some other guy did. And that was a thing. So it was a thing. And probably still is. But yeah, I don't want magical underwear. Not only is it going to do things, it's going to help me survive down there and not get anything that will kill me off, if you know what I mean.
He has to receive a satisfactory interview from his bishop and from his stake president. There he's asked, or she is asked, certain rather penetrating questions about...
Did you hear what he just said? Jesus is a one-track mind. He said penetrating. Now, he's not going to say that word. He can use any other word right there. I don't even want to explain how many different definitions he could use right there. But he said penetrating, which means he's thinking about getting down and making spirit babies. If he can. I don't know how this goes. I'm confused with the spirit baby thing. But, yeah, it's stupid.
Their worthiness, their morality. If he's a full tithe payer, that is the only way that we can be with our Heavenly Father.
See, full-time tithe and pay. He's supposed to be paying tithing. He's supposed to be paying homage. He's supposed to be paying money to the church. This is where church goes bad. Is paying them for things, especially when you have other resources that actually pays the church to be able to start a church, which doesn't get talked about. And they lead people to believe in the congregations that they are the ones actually paying for everything in the church when they're truly not in some cases. That's why you get the fraud preachers and stuff, reverends and all that have Cadillacs or his fancy cars, jewelry, all this crap that you really don't need. It's worthless as all hell, but teach his own. And they're just working with the people like televangelists. Televangelists are the fakest of all because they're on TV telling you all your blessings is about money. They're like making you try to manifest money in your world by giving them money and all this blessing. There's people in stories where they didn't give all their money to television evangelists and they were down and out and they got way out, got way low and couldn't come back. And their life just went to hell because they gave all their money to an evangelist. And I don't think money matters that much in a faith. Basically, I think finding something that makes you wholesome and pleasant to be around is better than just going completely nuts and saying, hey, I believe in a TV God. That's pretty much what it is.
Otherwise, we could not be in his presence.
The motivation for the Mormon male to commit to such requirements is the promise of endless celestial sex, with thousands of goddess wives, along with a personal planet to rule and reign over. However, Mormon males who fail to meet all of the necessary requirements risk being castrated upon their entrance to heaven.
Oh no. So, wowzers. You get castrated when you get to heaven. That's not heaven. There'll be no way you're getting castrated in heaven. Because first off, you can't go to heaven. Well, there's only been two people. Moses and Enoch that went to heaven with their bodies, human bodies. And so, but I'm just saying, like, honestly, your spirit. So why are you getting castrated in heaven? It makes no sense. There's an evil God. You keep your junk, and this is just crazy. You need your junk. You need your meat and shooters and your twigs and berries, and you know what I'm saying. You need people tug of war with cyclopses and stuff. It doesn't make any sense. That shows you right there that this, all things is a false religion. You can't get castrated in heaven. There should be no violence of any kind in paradise.
So you can see why the temple is so important to the Latter-day Saint. Because if he is worthy to go unto the temple and there receive the sacred ordinances and covenants and keep them, he can eventually grow into becoming a God himself.
Tell me who God the Father is to you.
He is like you and I, every human being on the face of the earth.
So is he a man?
Yes, he is.
How did he get to be God?
Yeah, he's perfect in every way.
So, I feel sad for all the people online. They're being misled, and they're being used for obviously sexual pleasures and just straight abominations and stuff. And I can't even say abominations. There's so many things I want to say, words that just rattle around in my brain because this is crazy. And the castrating thing is it's just like, I'm like, God dog, I can't take that crap. That's not happening. You ain't cutting people's balls and things off and they get in heaven. It's ridiculous. It's crazy and they need to be stopped. But like I said, I had a conversation with some Mormons that they no longer believe this stuff. They no longer think this way. I think it's because they want to separate from religion. It has to be a material motive to why a lot of them still practice polygamy. And just like one-track mind, celestial wives, and endless sex, and now you're getting castrated. And why is it messing with your tongue? So, I don't get it. Anyway, okay, let's wrap this up. Is this morally right? I'm leaving it up to y'all to figure out. If you think this is morally right, then let me know and explain why it's morally right in the comments. And if you don't, then you know, it's good. But honestly, I have to say, this comes up to the judgment of people. You don't have to take my opinion or even believe what I'm saying about anything on this little show. But I understand that this doesn't hold up. It doesn't sound like it lives up to doctrine, especially the part of taking away your junk in heaven and taking away your twigs and berries and trying to just, and trying to cut off your manhood. There's enough of that going around, but I'm not getting into that either. So, with all this being said, let's have God have mercy on everybody's soul, because this will brainwash you and make you go mad. So with that being said, peace be with you all. Blessings to you all, always. Peace out. SLK out.